Hey, it's Steve Grant here again today, and today I'm joined again by David Behrens, the Mindfulness Therapist, one of my colleagues and someone that I work closely with. During this kind of time of the coronavirus, we're bringing a number of videos over to you on interesting areas in terms of the emotions that we might be experiencing, how we feel within ourselves, and maybe some tips and some ways that we can kind of work through that. So today we wanted to focus on loneliness, and also we're going to kind of look at the theme of connection and protection as well within loneliness. Now, loneliness is a really interesting one because actually I think at this point in time, people are actually reaching out a little bit more and connecting with each other, maybe more than what they would do normally. But there's a lot of really good relevant research in terms of looking at loneliness and how it affects us from a health perspective as well. So for example, loneliness has been shown to affect how our immune system deals with challenges. It's been shown to actually change our inflammatory responses to things as well. It's also been shown to affect cardiovascular health, even within animal studies. Animals that were separated from the group actually had worse cardiovascular health than those that were within groups as well. So there are a number of things in which loneliness can have a negative effect on health. So I think it's really important at this time of social isolation and social distancing that we touch on this area. Now, there are a number of kind of like outward things that we can do in terms of, this, we're so lucky now in this day and age of Zoom and Skype and FaceTime and all of those things where we can set up these group calls. I know for me, I have this evening, it's a Friday, we're doing a regular once a week with my friends where we get together and we speak over Zoom, which is quite a nice thing to do. My wife Faye has set up a WhatsApp group for our street that we live on, so we're connected now with our neighbours that we never connected with before, and we're there just sort of supporting each other through this. Yesterday we published a online group exercise class that's to our newsletter list as well, so people can engage in group exercise classes and connect that way as well. So there's a number of ways in which we can do it, but what I really wanted to sort of speak to David about today is that there's this kind of outward way of connecting and helping with loneliness, and there's also this kind of inward aspect of loneliness as well at the same time. So sorry, it was a bit of a long introduction there, so I'm going to let you jump in and say hello and work into that a little bit more.
Thank you, Steve. It's wonderful to be with you and to be with all of you. So loneliness, it's something that we've all experienced at different times in our lives. And there's no question that at this time, I'm sure if you spoke to 10 people and you said, oh, what are you dealing with at this time, which is maybe the most difficult or the most challenging? And I know when I meet with clients now, a lot of them online, I ask that question, and it's either stress, anxiety, fear, or loneliness. Many people are self-isolating. And or they're in the house and they have to older people have to stay away from the whole family. So it's a very real thing, loneliness. And so let's explore it and also learn some practices. What do we do with it? It's a natural emotion. It does come. And how can it sort of be transformed or softened? So loneliness, if we reflect for a moment, when we feel lonely, what is happening inside of us? Because as we know, you can be in a room with so many people and still feel lonely. And then you're in a room with so many people and you don't feel lonely. Or sometimes there's no one around and you don't feel lonely. So what's happening there? If we study it more from reflective experience, loneliness is, ask your heart right now, when you're lonely, what is your heart wishing for? Meaning your sort of internal self. When you're lonely, what is your heart wishing for? If you would answer that for a moment, Steve, in a few sentences. What does your heart wish for when you're lonely?
Yeah, and I think, I think this is where we're wishing for connection and connectivity with people.
Yeah, you want to connect with people, but for what purpose? To have the experience of,
Um, I think it can bring some joy and some happiness and things like that.
yeah,
That's yeah,
yeah. You want to kind of connect, and then in that sort of connection moment, something wells up inside, and you feel a joy, you feel a happiness, and then the mind says, "I'm not alone," and there's sort of an energetic
shift. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
So it's very inward. Of course, we take the support of others, and that's very important during this time. But at the same time, we want to understand it, connect to ourself within.
Hmm.
And that can be done, as we know, not just on social media, which is now, that's when we meet many people, or if we have lucky to have people in our home. It's very important to connect to kind of ourself. As we know, we're going to have many friends in our life, but who is the most important person to be your friend?
Yeah,
It's kind of,
it's got to be yourself, right?
we would hope so, yes.
Yeah.
So how do we become our own best friend and connect to ourselves? So I found it's very important and helpful on connecting to ourselves. And that can start as early as just when we wake up. Very often, especially at this time, most people, when they wake up first thing in the morning now, I think, what are you finding out happening? What do most people do, including yourself sometimes?
Yeah, no, I think the natural response at this time is you wake up and phone, news, social media feed, you want to kind of almost be switched on and informed and see what's happened because so much is happening in such a short space of time. You almost want to jump in and engage in that. And I think the challenge with that is we immediately lose connection with ourselves at that point.
Yeah,
And it can spiral for the rest of the day a little bit.
yeah, and that obviously is not the best way to wake up. Of course, if there's an emergency, you should know. But as we know, in the last several weeks, you didn't really have to, or the few times I've done it, I don't need to do that.
No, exactly.
So, how do we connect to ourself and establish this first thing in the morning? Okay, many of us have children. It might not be so practical first thing in the morning, or the cat is demanding the food, or the dog is barking. But in the morning is very important to connect to yourself. And a very beautiful practice that I have done and I offer to my clients, and you can read about it in science and psychology, and PhDs have been written about it. Connect to gratitude. First thing in the morning. And I guarantee if you do the practice, it has a beautiful benefit. So I'll share how I do it because anything I offer, I have to practice it. So, first thing in the morning, when I wake up, I open my eyes just like everybody else, and I get to see where's my mind going first thing in the morning. And I reclaim and I say, okay, practice gratitude. And I connect to my heart. And sometimes I do it sitting down, or I come out of my bed, or even laying there if I'm, and I count 10 things I'm grateful for. And if I'm sitting, I do it in a fun way, like a child, counting 1, 2, 3, and I do it like this. So right now, let's do the practice. You can even imagine you've just woken up, whether your eyes are open or closed, and you focus on counting silently to yourself. I am grateful for, and you can say it now silently. I'm grateful for family members. That's a natural thing, but you choose. I'm grateful for, I'm grateful for, and count up to 10 as simple as the sun is shining. That's amazing. To, I'm breathing today and I feel okay. Or I'm going through challenges, but I do have support I'm grateful for. My cat, my dog, the pets I have, family members, food, I'm grateful for. I'll be silent now and finish counting 10 I am grateful for. After you reach 10, I'd like you to just, with your eyes closed if you like, rest in that experience and sense, what do I feel within me? Gratitude. From where is it arising? That energy or feeling. And for all of us, we'll sense somewhere in the heart region, somewhere in the chest, we feel that feeling, I'm grateful. Expansion, openness. It's a very good energy. And know that you are connecting to your heart. In fact, it's what could be greater. And that is a wonderful way to honor yourself and be your own good friend, and also to honor your world, what you have. So there's gratitude, appreciation. You can open your eyes now and reflect, wow, would this be the way to start my day? Yes, then I can, of course, do all the things I need to do or not need to do. But I begin with gratitude, connecting to that energy inside my own best self. And yes, this is a way to become one's own best friend and feel appreciation for our life. And everybody has something that to be grateful for. And I found when this practice is done, it becomes an antidote for so many of the challenges of the mind, from depression uh, to anxiety, uh, to sort of the downward spiral, because this obviously is an upward expansive spiral. So give it a try and let me know, let Steve and I know your experience. And we could learn more. There's so many practices one can learn, and they're ancient and they're modern and they're based now on science and psychology and, of course, ancient medicine and the ancient spiritual traditions.
Yeah, I think that's great, David. I think, just as a take-home point for people, I think, certainly focus on some of these outward things that we can do to try and connect with other people, but then bring in some focus inwardly on how to connect with yourself and how to, like you say, become friends with yourself and not be distant with yourself, I think is important. So you shouldn't feel lonely inside. And I think at the moment, it's interesting doing the gratitude practice like that. It's almost easier at this time to really tap into those more simple things in life that we become more grateful for as well, like food, like having a house over our heads, like various things like that. So I think that's a really great practice, and I think that's a really nice tip to see how you can fit that into the start of your day as a starting point.
Yeah, so it's wonderful. We'll continue to get together and offer these tips and practices so we can really take care of ourselves and, of course, take care of our family and others.
Exactly. So just finishing on that, so thanks again, Dave, for being with us. Like David says, we're going to do some more videos on some other areas, connecting not only with coronavirus, but I think this is a much wider conversation in areas that it's actually just nice for us to be able to highlight this in this experience, the way the world is at this time. So be sure to kind of look out for those. And also, if you're actually looking for a little bit of additional support in this area, then do feel free to kind of get in contact with us, and I can make an introduction over to David as well. And he's more than happy to offer some one-to-one support in this area as well. So thanks for watching, and we will be in touch again soon.